What's going on? What's going on, everybody? It is the only sports podcast. That's right. The never duplicated, never replicated. I don't know how that saying goes, but we're the only sports podcast. It's smashing success. Can't believe nobody else is doing it. I'm Will. That's Casino, who is watching
every time.
I know. Because I just want to, because you're on this screen, but I have to point like this because it flips. I don't know. But Casino, what World Cup game are you watching right now?
Argentina, Netherlands. And Netherlands just tied it up, make it 2-2. It's going into extra time. So, crazy. Argentina was up 2-0, and then we've got two in a row for the Netherlands. This is good stuff.
And the screenshot for this episode is Casino's reaction to them hitting that game-tying kick into the goal. He gasped. I heard a gasp escape his lips.
I did gasp because it was a phenomenal. It wasn't even like it was a free kick outside the box. Instead of shooting it, he passes it to one of his players that's right on the line, on where the wall is and everything. And the guy just trapped it with one foot, put it out in front of his left foot, and squared it across net. It very well designed play. It worked. It's risky because you just don't get a shot on goal unless you actually it works. So it worked. But I mean, we could talk about World Cup to start, or we can just keep going from there. But there was a good one earlier too.
We can start with World Cup, but first we need to start. My wife is now a fan of the podcast. She listens to every episode. Yes. She said, and we didn't put it at the beginning, we didn't put it at the end. We kind of put it slightly towards the end. So I know she actually listened to it. She sent me, I said for her to say pumpkin pie. She said it. And she also said, and I forgot this, she is the only person I know, diehard, like Pepsi fanatic. She loves Pepsi.
Well, I never got a text message from her when I said, call me like Snickerdoodle. I don't remember what I
said. No, she said, she texted me and said, you said to say pumpkin pie. Casino's favorite pie is pecan. And I think that's what you said.
I didn't say my favorite pie was pecan. I just said,
or yeah, you said, so she texted me.
I did say the words pecan pie.
Pumpkin pie, pecan pie, and then that she hates Coke and she's a Pepsi girl. So, which I don't know who, like, people who like Pepsi over Coke are weird unless Pepsi wants to sponsor us. And then
do I need to tell my Coke story again?
No.
Come on. I thought about it again this morning. I'm telling you, I think about it all the time.
I mean, on our end of best year, this podcast, it's going to be the lead one is going to be the Pepsi story. I mean, monumentous moment in this.
The Pepsi story? You mean Coke story?
Well, no, we're going to change it to Pepsi.
Oh, hell no. No. I can't stand Pepsi. I just can't.
I can't. I mean, I never drink soda, but if I went to like a bar or whatever and I ordered like a rum and Coke and they were like, we have rum and Pepsi, I'd throw my glass down on the floor and leave the establishment. I can't. But Casino, we've already dipped our toe in the World Cup. Let's dip our whole body and just immerse ourselves in World Cup goodness. Give us the rundown of what happened this morning.
Well, I will give you live updates. So this is about to start extended time, not extended, extra time for this game. So I'll give you some live updates on that. However, this morning, the favorites got knocked out in Brazil, and I'm very, very happy with that. Not a Neymar fan. I don't have anything against Brazil as a country or a full team, but I can't stand Neymar. There was a few years back where he got kneed in his back, and he was rolling on the ground, and I was like, he's fine. They carted him off. He went into the locker room. I'm like, he's not that bad. He was all show. And then like 2 days later, it was, he suffered a spine injury. And I was like, oh, well, here's the thing. Don't cry. He broke his spine. Somebody kneed him in the spine and broke one of his vertebrae.
And this is why you hate him?
I hate him.
Yes.
I'm just showing an example. I didn't think that it was legit because he cries wolf all the time. Like he's that stereotypical soccer player where they go down and they just roll. There was an
Yeah.
actual trend there for a while where uh, people would start rolling on the ground and when they just get touched, and it was the Neymar trend, and it was phenomenal. It made me laugh every time. Like there'd be edits where like people are like getting touched just by their wife or something, and then it shows them rolling
Whoa.
out of the house, rolling down the street, rolling like across the park. Like it's hysterical, like in one shot. Anyway, so this morning that happened. It was a wonderful, wonderful performance by the Croatian goalkeeper. Um, he had 21 shots against before it got to the PKs, 21 shots against throughout the regular time and extra time. 11 of them were on target. He only let one in, and it was in the extended time. And it was a wonderful goal though by Neymar. Like he's a great player. I can't knock him on that. He sliced and diced, like you can look it up. He sliced and diced like 8 players, just himself, from midfield, took it in and got the goal. And it was probably top 3, if not the best goal of the World Cup this year, just because of how he sliced and diced through everybody. It was highly impressive. But then with about 4 minutes left, you had one of the Croatian guys who they actually had the majority of the possession throughout the game. They got a great shot on target, got it in. It was a good cross through, and instead of like cross through the air, it was a cross across the ground, and the guy buried it. It did deflect off of a Brazilian goal defender's shin, but that's soccer. That happens. That's football. That it bounces happen. Goalie's got to react to it. He almost saved it, but he didn't. So it went 1-1 going into the PKs. And at this point, you have to feel very confident in your keeper if you're Croatia. He stopped the first goal. But here's the thing: Croatia did not. It's best out of 5. They were 4-4 on their penalty kicks, and so the fourth person for Brazil had to score it. He puts it off the left post. It's over. Brazil's out. The favorites for the World Cup are done. BJ's really happy about that because he's got a lot of coworkers who are Brazilian, and they've been annoying as hell apparently at his work, which that's fine. They're exciting, but you can be excited without being assholes. Anyway, so awesome for Croatia. Plus, one of my favorite players in the entire world, top 5, probably all-time players. I like the guy a lot. Luka Modric. He's Croatia's number 10. Plays for Real Madrid. He's played almost there his entire career, if not his whole career. Pretty close to it. He's 37 years old, so this is his last World Cup. I guarantee it. If he comes back for another, crazy. But then again, U.S. has played a player that was 43 when he came back, so that's why U.S. sucks. But good for that second youngest U.S. team to go this year, so that was cool. So yeah, it's quite exciting. Right now, we've got a good game in extended time, and I'll let you know if it goes to shootouts, and we'll give you a live update on that if it does. So, all right.
And
that's your World Cup news. Oh, also, I don't think we talked. No, we did talk about the previous games.
Yeah.
Yep. So everything else played out how it should. And yeah, here we are. The first team to make the semis is Croatia, and be either met by the Netherlands or Argentina here shortly.
And with your pick of Brazil being out, Casino, who do you think wins in this Netherlands-Argentina game?
Oh, I still will think Argentina will win this. PKs are always you never know. Obviously, look what happened with Brazil and Croatia. Croatia didn't miss, Brazil missed too.
Yeah.
So you just never know. But I think
And then
Argentina will pull this off because I think Argentina has the better players for the PKs. Messi already had a penalty kick that he got to take today and buried it. But I honestly don't think. I think one of these two teams will score. I think Argentina will. They've actually had the better striking. So we shall see.
And then do you think Argentina or Croatia will win in the next round?
Man, that one you can kind of flip a coin on. I mean, Croatia 4 years ago, they were the runner-up to the World Cup. I know I haven't really mentioned them. The other teams are the higher favorites over them. Are Croatia still a great team? Hell yeah. I mean, like I said, they got Luka Modric. He's one of the best players in the world. He was actually, in 2018, when they lost, he was actually anointed best player in the world for that year, over Messi, over Ronaldo, and all that. So Luka Modric, amazing. I just don't know. Obviously, both of these players want to win a World Cup. If it ends up being Messi versus Luka, that'd be a really cool storyline. I would be happy with either one of those teams going back to the World Cup. So I'm kind of hoping Argentina goes, and I would like to see Messi win, but I also like to see Luka win just slightly less than Messi. The reason I want Messi to win more is because I want that whole who's better, Messi or Ronaldo thing.
We want Argentina and Portugal in the finals, right?
That would be
because then
nuts.
we think
Yeah,
it would
that
be
would be one of the greatest sporting events in world history.
Yeah, I will watch whoever makes it to the finals.
And it wouldn't be. It's
watch.
not because like it would be the best teams. It would just be the most talked about thing. But here's the thing: Ronaldo's not playing much. He's benched. There's some things going on with Portugal. He's not 100%. There's arguments, whatever you want to believe. There's a lot of talk out there. He's not getting full minutes of. He's not playing the entire game right now. So
now this is a I don't watch soccer and I'm dumb question. If he was like, I'm not getting the playing time in Portugal, I want to go play for a different team, could he play for a different team in the World Cup, or wherever you're born is who you're allowed to play for?
It's not so much where you're born. It's where you have up till a certain age, and you have to have so many years there for citizenship. I don't know the whole thing about it, but it's where you're a citizen.
Got it.
And like for instance, the Morocco player that scored the last goal in the penalty kicks, he was born in Madrid. He was born in Spain, but
he had a certain amount of time.
Majority of his childhood there, but he is a citizen and plays for Morocco. And that's why with the US, a lot of times you get players who like are born on Air Force bases and whatnot, and they have the chance they have the dual citizenship, and they have to a certain point to decide which team they're going to play for.
Got it.
Which was a couple times, like we've taken a couple German players and they didn't really pan out for us. So I don't think they would have panned out for Germany either. But they got to choose which one they wanted to play for, and they had it up to a certain date since they had the dual citizenship. But it's where you're a citizen.
Got it.
Is a long story short.
Yeah, no, that makes sense. Now we go from one football to football casino. It's week 13. I'm coming off a rousing victory in week 12, 9-8, or as we call that on this podcast, domination. 9-8. And that domination will continue this week. I'm guaranteeing it. Let's see. The games this last week, week 12, best week of football we'll probably have this year. We've had up to this point.
There was so much excitement last week. It was phenomenal.
And the Thursday night game last night started hopefully off an equally great week, or maybe it was the cap to a great week of NFL football. And this game was utter dog shit for about 3.5 quarters of it, and then all of a sudden it just became like must-watch NFL football at the end, where just weird shit was happening. Like the Raiders could not get a first down to save their life. Everybody's fumbling. Everybody is just Derek Carr's just forgot how to play quarterback. I don't know what the fuck is going on with this Raiders team, but again, like you said, we were texting about this game beforehand yesterday. The Raiders are a good team with good players that I
Yeah. Well,
100% just have to put on the coach, right? Like this is a bad
so
coach team.
what I said to you, how I said it to you was, as we were talking about it, I was like, because we both picked the Raiders. We both
I
picked the
think
Raiders.
everybody did.
We picked the Raiders
Everybody
to
did.
wins. And you didn't ask why, but I gave a reason why I thought the Raiders over the Rams. I just said the Rams are done. They have put up shop. Like they're just,
Yeah.
they don't really care to want to play. Starting with their quarterback, yes, he's injured, but I also think it's a mental thing. He's like, we're out of it. We don't want to play. But I was like, I said, I have no faith. Raiders have good players. They just play bad.
Yeah.
And so that's why I was saying I have no faith in the Rams, but I was just, the Raiders, they could do it. They could win.
Well,
They
and they were on a hot
streak.
streak. What, they'd won the last like 3 weeks or something. Like
Yeah.
they'd won against the Chargers. They won against the
shocked.
Seahawks.
I'm shocked they lost to the Rams. I am.
Yeah.
I really am.
And especially how they lost. They were leading by 13, and then the Rams came back with a Baker Mayfield led 98-yard drive in the fourth quarter to win the game, much like we saw. The only time you will ever say Tom Brady and Baker Mayfield in the same sentence, except when you say NFL quarterbacks or quarterbacks who play in the NFL, he pulls a Tom Brady that we saw on Monday night. Like, these standalone games have been so weird. They're either absolute garbage or they're absolute garbage until the last 2 minutes of the game.
And then something happens.
Yeah.
Like right.
So the Raiders are now 5-8, losing to the now 4-9 Los Angeles Rams, 17-16. Even though they're only a game separated, like the Raiders have hit they're that team this year where like every close game they lost until like 3 weeks ago, and now all of a sudden they were making a comeback. They could have gotten to the playoffs if they would have won out, and it would have been one of those, what we've talked about, the scenarios where it's like, if this team wins and this team loses and this team beats this team and there's a tie, blah blah blah. So they could have definitely got into it. Now I'm pretty sure they're out of it. I don't think.
I mean, now, so with that being said, what time is it?
Oh,
I
forgot.
Check.
Yeah.
Trust me, I have it. I've been staring at it like every 20 minutes.
So this has been a real roller coaster of prices. It started 278, went down to 268, went up to 285, and then last episode we talked where it was at 285, went to 311, and then down to 263. So what is the price now, Casino?
Again, according to the Game Time app, this is tickets all in, searching for two. Just giving you all the qualifications there. We're at 275 is the lowest.
Oh.
And I guarantee you by the end of this week, I guarantee you by Friday, we're looking at just around 200.
Oh, damn. You think it's going to drop $75?
I do.
Damn. I do. All right. Well, on Monday's podcast, that'll be we'll have 2 more price checks before then. But when are you getting your tickets, Casino?
Probably Friday or Saturday. Like Dave was like right before.
Then we will have two more chances to check this price. At the moment, it's 275, up from 263. But I don't know. This town it is crazy to me that Raider prices are that low. And then you look at ticket prices for Golden Knights versus the number 1 team in the NHL, in all the NHL, the Bruins, but those tickets they haven't gone up at all. And we're going to that game, Casino. We're going to it.
So it is official?
Yes, it's official.
Sweet.
Me and Casino doing a bro date Sunday night. Will be at Knights.
Is that
Bruins.
Like your birthday present to me?
Yes, this is my happy birthday to you.
Cool.
But we'll get to that when we talk NHL.
Am I gonna get some?
Buy me a drink first. So but the Raiders, they basically needed this game to stay in it. Now they're 5-8, but they have your Patriots, Steelers, 49ers, Chiefs. I don't think they beat the 49ers. I don't think they beat the Chiefs because neither of those teams, well, the Niners still have to play their starters to stay ahead of Seattle, and then Chiefs still have to play their starters to now reclaim the number 1 seed from the Bills. And the Steelers have been like feisty. They've kind of been the same way the Raiders have been. So I don't see the Raiders winning one of the next 4 games now, when it looked like they were on the come up, but now they're on the come down, and they got come down on by Baker Mayfield.
I was waiting for it.
So Baker Mayfield, he had 2 days to study the playbook. He literally comes in 22 of 35, 230, 1 touchdown. He didn't have a bad game up until the 4th quarter. It was kind of just average. He wasn't really making mistakes. He made a couple really nice throws, but also he wasn't really lighting it up. And then all of a sudden he goes 98 yards, a minute 45 on the clock, scores the game-winning touchdown, does a beautiful what is that called? The streak or the fade or whatever the fuck it is. I don't know terminology.
Over the top.
But yeah, like a beautiful arcing over the top pass for the touchdown and the win.
Back shoulder?
Back, no, because that's like where they're like catch it like, oh, this was like just hand delivered. But only touchdown of the game is the one that wins it. And the crazy thing is the Rams don't really have anybody on offense of note. Like they had Van Jefferson's the one that caught that touchdown, but then they have a bunch because they packed it in. Like the Rams, we talked about this. The Rams were done 3 weeks ago. They just gave up. Everybody on their team is basically backups. Cam Akers has always felt like a backup because he was 12 for 42, 1 touchdown. The Raiders, on the other hand, Josh Jacobs he's the leading rusher in the league. It's crazy. The Raiders are always down in these games, but yet Josh Jacobs always is just running the ball.
Didn't he go out? Did he get injured, or was I didn't watch a lot of that game.
I think he did, or did he get hit and taken out? Let's see. I have it pulled up right here. No, maybe they just...
It's all good.
No, he was questionable going into the game. But then in the game, he rushed for 27 carries, 99 yards, 1 touchdown. He had a great run in this game. Devontae Adams, only 3 receptions, but for 71 yards. Derek Carr, 11 of 20, 137, 2 INTs. And I would even say he looked worse against, again, a depleted Rams defense that has none of their starters. So the Raiders, like, they lose games where you're like, how the fuck do you lose to the Colts? How the fuck do you lose this game? There was another, how the fuck do you lose that game a couple weeks ago? I can't remember which one it was. But, I mean, again, this Raiders team, there's no way in fuck they're not a, 8-win team with a competent coach. I just think Josh McDaniels is dog water.
He's not a head coach.
Huh?
He's not a head coach.
No, this team would be a good team if they had a head coach. Let me just pull a random name out of my hat, like a John Gruden, right? If they had like a John Gruden coaching this team, I feel like they'd be good. What's he doing? I don't know. Yeah, but this is more. Oh, I just saw that movie.
Go for it. Go for it.
No, I just saw that movie, The Menu. Highly recommended. I loved it. But there's a line in the movie where one of the characters says, You'll eat less than you want, but more than you deserve. I feel like us talking about this Raiders team, they get more talk than they deserve. I don't know. I'm messing up. I'm trying to pay attention to soccer.
So now what I was going to say was, did you hear the bold claims that Baker said that he said that he booked a flight to Los Angeles before he was even claimed by the Rams?
I don't believe that at all. I don't believe that at all because nobody else, apparently the rumor on the old NFL mill is that nobody else wanted Baker Mayfield or was going to put a claim for him. The Rams were literally the only one. Everybody, myself included, thought he was going to the 49ers, right? But they're sticking with Purdy, and we'll see how that turns out on Sunday. But
we'll talk about that later in Fantasy Corner.
Ooh, interesting. But yeah, so my last question for this game, Casino, is where do you think, I mean, the Rams, obviously, I don't think they go anywhere from here. They're done. They've been done pretty much this whole season. But from the Baker Mayfield perspective, where do you think he goes from this? Their next game, crazy that they go from this primetime game to the next primetime game. They play the Packers on Monday Night Football. So that will be at least interesting.
And that's a long break.
Yeah, they get a week and a half to prepare. So yeah,
it's almost like you're getting a bye.
Yeah, which good for, I mean, it's not like Baker's played much this season, but now he gets to at least study the playbook. And now, dude, if he beats and has a great game Monday night and beats Aaron Rodgers, like,
I will laugh my ass off. Yeah,
the hot take machine the next day. I can't wait for it. But this isn't a hot take podcast, and we're the only sports podcast. So by fact of that point, there is no hot take sports podcast. But give me a hot take, Casino. Where does Baker Mayfield go from this game where he looked like pretty damn good?
I don't know. I just truly don't know, because Baker is one of those players where he's good and bad at the same time. Like,
yes,
you can justify him being a starting quarterback with many different points, but you can justify him being a backup with many different points. He is very just interesting. He is an interesting person to watch and follow, because you just don't know what's going to happen with them. You don't know what people are going to do with them. So I honestly can't give you an answer for that. I don't know. So, I mean, let's just get crazy and outrageous here. He's going to go in. He's going to be like, "Ooh, Rodgers, let me take you after Rodgers." He's going to beat Rodgers by 50. I don't know.
Dude, if he goes Monday night, throws 5 touchdowns, no interceptions, and has like a perfect passer rating and like 450 passing yards or whatever, the world's gonna explode. Like, sports media is gonna fucking their heads are all gonna pop up their body.
Get him the Heisman, because those are college numbers.
So since he's been in the league, he had a pretty damn good rookie year. He threw for 3,700, 27 touchdowns, 14 INTs, 64% completion percentage. His sophomore year was definitely a sophomore slump. He threw for more yards, but he only had 22 touchdowns, 21 interceptions. That is fucking those are Jameis Winston numbers right there. 2020 by far the best year he had. I don't know if that has to do with NFL teams not playing in front of crowds. Maybe that's a factor in how he plays. Maybe the crowd gets to him, but he doesn't seem like that type of dude. But he threw 3,600 yards, 26 touchdowns, 8 INTs with a 63% completion percentage. Like, that's, if he was doing that this year for the Panthers, first off, the Panthers would be good. And second off, nobody would think he was a bad quarterback. But then even his next year, 2021, 17 touchdowns, 13 interceptions. That's not bad, but it's still like he hasn't really had a bad year until this year. And remember, the only reason the Browns got rid of him is so they could bring in Deshaun Watson, who, after seeing for one game, like, he played way worse than I think people were expecting. But again, he hasn't played in almost 3 years. So I don't know. There's rumors swirling that Stafford retires at the end of the year. I don't think he retires. I think he comes back next year. Maybe Mayfield is just backup. Maybe he goes to a bad team. I don't know.
I think Baker Mayfield, just for a media standpoint, Baker Mayfield as a backup in LA where he doesn't have to be taken serious, he's going to be out clubbing all day.
Well,
did you see the rappers like were tweeting out to him like, "Hey, we're going to the club tonight. We're gonna hang out after that win." Great, it's great.
I know I've always been a Baker Mayfield fan. I like that kind of like
I find him entertaining. I'm not a fan of him, but he's entertaining. He's good. He's good media.
Yeah, well, that's a good point because I don't know if I'd want him quarterbacking my team, but I like to watch him quarterback teams I really don't give a shit about. Like he's entertaining to watch. But let's finally move off this game, Casino. Let's go to the game. I have seen so many, speaking of hot takes about this being like a trap game.
We'll have to move through these ones a little quicker. We spent a lot of time on that.
Yeah, we have the 10-2 Minnesota Vikings at the 5-7 Detroit Lions. I keep seeing everyone saying Vikings are on upset alert, picking the Lions. What is the line in this game? Do you have that?
-2 Detroit.
So Detroit is.
I like this. I'm picking Detroit in this game.
Why? Why are you doing this?
Why am I doing this?
Yes,
because again, we've talked about it. I don't think Detroit's a bad team. Plus, I mean, outside of their loss to the Bills, which they again almost won. So they've won 4 of their last 5. You say that, just say they oh wow. Netherlands goalkeeper just made an amazing save. Holy crap. Point blank range rocket, and the goalie just happened to have his leg there. Oh, no, that was not the goalie. It went off one of the defenders' faces. Ouch. Anyway, so go back to this. The Bills, outside of that game where they lost by 3, you put that game in there, they're on a 5-game win streak. But they're 4 out of 5 with a 3 loss, with their only loss being 3 points to the Bills. I like this Lions team. I think they're starting to figure it out. Like you said it. You think Goff is pretty good. Fine. That's fair. I like it. I like this pick. I think that it's on there for a reason. And I've been one of the advocates for the Vikings being, I still give them a little bit more gusto than most, but in this one, I think the Lions pull this off.
Oh, I mean, it'll be a good game. This is one of the games I'll definitely be watching because I think it'll be intriguing, but this just feels like one of those games where everybody's picking the upset, and it's like for all the reasons you said, right? Lions are playing good. Minnesota isn't playing bad. They just have a record I don't think anybody thinks is warranted, right? The only 2 losses are to probably the 2 best teams in the NFC, the Eagles and the Cowboys. Both those games they just got absolutely stomped on. They almost lost to the Jets last week if Mike White would have made 1 or 2 more throws in the red zone to win. They they beat your Patriots team. And then, yeah, I don't know. It does feel like a trap game, but I just think they only won by 4 last game. This feels like a game that is like 35-32. I think the Vikings squeak it out. I'm picking the Vikings with no confidence in my voice. I would love to see Detroit win because obviously I'm an Eagles fan and the Vikings are like right there for the number 1 seed. So every week I want the Vikings and Cowboys to lose, but I think the Vikings squeak it out, especially because everybody's going to be putting money on the Lions in this game. And I never trust those games where it's just like a consensus pick. Like last night, every single person was like, oh, it's going to be the Raiders. And then the Rams win and no one knows how. So let's move on to the next game. I'm picking the Vikings. You got the Lions. The 8-4 Baltimore Ravens at the 5-7 Pittsburgh Steelers. Lamar Jackson is out for this game.
Well, is he now officially out? Last I saw, he's questionable. I actually have it pulled up as questionable.
As an hour ago, he has been downgraded to doubtful. So what? It's all like right. Doubtful.
Oh, yep. I just refreshed
questionable,
it. It is now doubtful. Yes.
doubtful. So yeah, I don't think there's no way he plays. The the Steelers are feisty. What, it's going to be Huntley for the Ravens. This is my upset pick. I'm going Steelers, Casino.
Oh, I'm going Steelers too. And actually, it's not an upset. Steelers are favored by 2.
Really? Well, this also fuels that how the Raiders were playing. The Steelers have been playing pretty good. They had they played the Bengals within 7 3 weeks ago. Then they beat the Colts. Then they beat the Falcons. I think their streak continues. And then opposite of the Raiders, they actually have a pretty favorable schedule. If they can beat the Ravens here, then they go Panthers. I think they can beat the Raiders. They go Raiders, then they play Ravens again, and then Browns. I definitely think they can beat the Browns unless Deshaun Watson starts, being Deshaun Watson. And I'm not talking massages, Casino. I'm talking before that. Before that. But yeah, I think we're both picking the upset on the Steelers there. Next up, another AFC North matchup.
And just to to add on that, Kenny Pickett keeps getting better every week.
Yeah, and the Steelers defense has been top 5 this whole year.
Yeah, so I'm all for this. So yeah, I just wanted to touch on the Pickett thing. I've liked what I've seen. He gets better every week as he goes on.
And let's see maybe I overestimated the Steelers defense. Where are they? No, the Steelers, I think it was that game against the Bengals that really knocked them down. They're all the way down to 24th in yards allowed per game, but I always go by points allowed per game, and they are 20th. So I always feel like the Pittsburgh Steelers have a good defense, but apparently that has not been the case the past couple weeks. Doesn't change my mind. I'm still going Steelers. Next up, AFC North, 5-7 Cleveland Browns at the 8-4 Cincinnati Bengals.
This is a no-brainer.
I
don't think we need to talk about this.
This is Bengals all day.
We have a surging Bengals team that they're fine. Joey B is doing what he needs to do. He's finally figuring it out late in the season, which is making this team scarier and scarier. And yeah, no trust in Deshaun Watson. It's over.
I mean, the Bengals, like their last 5-6 games, they scored 35 against the Falcons, 32 against they lost 32-13 against the Browns, which looks like a weird score now. But they won 42-21 against the Panthers, won 37-30 against the Steelers, 20-16 against the Titans, and then obviously they beat the Chiefs last week. So you say surging, I think they've surged. I think they are now in contention for best team in the AFC. I believe they are. Their defense, their
post. Sorry, dude. This game's getting hard. It's almost into PKs now. It's at the 120th minute. It's just stoppage time now, and Argentina is all up in Netherlands business, like hard up in their business. This goalie's made like 5 different saves in the last 2 minutes that should have gone in, and then Argentina just hit the post as well. Another corner kick. Like, this is stressful. And sorry, continue. I said I was going to get some play by. Oh, it's not a corner. It's a goal kick, but I just wanted to give you play by plays. This is going to PKs.
That's okay. It gave me time to look up. The Bengals defense is literally 12th or 13th in every single category. So they're in the top half of the league. Their defense is scary. They allowed the worst QBR in the league against their defense. And then they obviously have a top 5 offense with Joey B. And do you think, because I do you think there is a better wide receiver group in the NFL than the Bengals have? Because you got Boyd, Higgins, and Chase. I don't think there's a better trio on any
Miami's
team in the league.
Pretty good. Miami's got a pretty good one.
Yeah, but who's their third? Third wide receiver.
That's fair. All right. For like a full wide receiver group, yeah. I think the Bengals are up there.
I think they're definitely 1A, 1B, right? Because Hill's the best wide receiver. Then Waddle is a top 15 wide receiver in the league, but I don't know. The Bengals, but I agree. I didn't even think about Miami. So I would go Miami first and then Bengals. But yeah. And I really want to see those two teams play in the playoffs. I think that would be a good matchup to
That'd be
just
fun.
have like
it would be gunslinging all day. It would just be fun. That
that,
could get college score there.
yeah. Now, as far as the Browns, the only way the Browns win this game is control the clock with the run game, and then Deshaun Watson just doesn't lose them the game or literally just looks average. Because last week he didn't even look average. He just looked bad. Like he looked like he needed a massage after that game to massage away all the problems that he had in that game. That was a stretch. I tried, Casino. I tried.
Yeah, I'm not giving it to you at all.
Now we move on to, we're both picking the Bengals in that one. Even though this does feel like it could be a letdown game because they spent all their emotions preparing for the Chiefs game, but I don't know. Next up, the 7-5 New York Jets at the 9-3 Buffalo Bills. Maybe game of the week right here.
I don't agree with this.
What is the line for this one?
10.
For who?
Buffalo.
No,
it's in Buffalo.
Way.
It's supposed to be snowy in Buffalo, 37 degrees, but there's no way. I mean,
there's no way the Bills are 10 points better than this Jets team. Absolutely.
Oh, hell no.
No way.
I think a lot has to do with it's because White's in quarterback, but hey, that's an upgrade.
Yeah. Well, these two teams, they played earlier in this season, did they not? Or is this their first meeting?
No. I think that the Jets beat the Bills last time, man.
Yeah, they beat them 20-17 like a month ago. So why the fuck is this so? And that was with Zach Wilson, who had an average game. He threw for 154 and 1 touchdown. And Josh Allen had 2 INTs. So again, everybody makes it, and we're guilty of this, where we just play teams and then we say it's quarterback against quarterback. It's not. It's quarterback against defense. It just is entertaining to be like, oh, it's Burrow versus Mahomes. This game will be Josh Allen versus the Jets defense that already basically shut him down to only scoring 17 points last game. The Jets defense has stayed pretty much even this entire year as being in the top 5.
This is the game for Buffalo to step back into contention.
Yeah, because they had a very, very quiet November. After having a great September, October, their November felt real quiet. The Lions played them real good, real close, had multiple times in that game on Thanksgiving to win. The Browns almost beat them, were within a touchdown. That Patriots game, they dominated, but that's really been only their good game. They lost to the Vikings in OT in a game where they shot themselves in the foot 97 times in a row. Then they lost to the Jets. They barely beat the Chiefs, and then they destroyed the Packers.
First penalty shot for the Netherlands. They went first, blocked. Argentina goalie saves it.
How does that relate to the Bills, Casino?
I'm giving you. I told the fans that I would give them the play-by-play on this.
That's true. And Casino's watching it on Peacock, so he's giving the English play-by-play. Yes. Because if you wanted it, it would only be in Spanish, which I don't speak.
So Messi's stepping up first for Argentina. He's going to take the first one, which typically isn't normally how it goes. They don't normally put out your best player to start first. So he's lining up. After this one, we'll just continue about the Bills. And
your game is behind. My game is ahead of yours.
Okay, well, Messi scores. Who wins?
No, it's been like Messi has scored like 2 minutes ago.
All right, we'll stop watching. This is for the fans, man.
For the fans, which when we release this podcast, they'll be like, yeah, we know. We watched this game 2 hours ago.
You know what? That's a good point. All right, let's talk about the Bills. I forgot this isn't live.
No, it is not. We will. One day we should do a live episode. That'll be chaotic. Chaotic. But 7-5 New York Jets, 9-3 Buffalo Bills. Who you got, Casino?
I'm going Jets.
Ooh, you think they sweep them in the season?
I do. I don't want it, but I like what I saw from White. And until I see, I mean, I still think the Buffalo Bills are good go deep. I still think they'll figure it out and they'll get into the Super Bowl. But I think the Jets understand this Bills team. It's in division. They know what's going on. And until I see, oh my gosh, I'm blanking on the quarterback.
Who? Allen?
Bills. Dang it, Josh Allen. It just totally went out of my head. Until I see Josh Allen step up, which this is the game he has to. You know what? No, I'm going to switch it right now. I'm going to go Buffalo because this is Buffalo's season. If they want to be looked at as a threat, they have to win this game.
Yes.
They have to win this game. So I'm going to go Bills just because I think it's do or die time for Josh Allen. Would I be shocked though if the Jets win? No, not at all. So the Bills have to win this game. So I'm going to go with that. They have to do it. They have to.
I'm going Jets. I think they get him again. I think I agree with you that the Bills need to step up, and they feel like it's crazy. We're talking about this team like they're dead in the water. They're 9-3, but again, they just have felt at the beginning of the season, they felt invincible, right? They had that Monday night game against the Titans where they absolutely destroyed them. And everybody was like, the Bills are the best team in football, not even close. And then as the seasons progress, they had the big win against the Chiefs. They had the, OT game that was weird against the Vikings, and then they lost to the Jets. So there were two of their losses right there. And then the Lions, I mean, they're good, but again, just they're the Lions, and they're taking you blow for blow on Thanksgiving. I don't know. This does feel like the next 2 weeks, and actually the next 4 weeks are where we really figure out if this Bills team is what they were at the beginning of the season or what they've been the past couple weeks, because they play Jets, Dolphins, then they get the Bears, then they play Bengals. So Bengals Bills really looks like it's going to be, one of the big games this year, and then they end with the Patriots. So yeah, I think they lose to the Jets here, and then it's panic mode in Buffalo. But let's move on to the next game. We have Texans, Cowboys. The line on this game, isn't it something fucking insane? Like 14.5 or something like that?
17
and a half, right? Or just 17 on the dot?
It's 17. So I was listening to a sports radio, and they were talking about, and I love this take, and we all know it, and you should know it. Outside of Dallas fans, you should know this, or the media. Dallas destroys easy teams. They destroy easy teams, so it makes them look good. That game was close against the Colts, which it shouldn't have been, for 3 quarters.
Yeah.
And then they destroyed at the end. This game was close. Like, there's just... So I do think they're going to destroy, and I think they could make it 17 or more against Houston. I do. But again, they're playing Houston. How many teams could blow out Houston this year?
Almost pretty much everybody has. Well, no, actually, not really. The Texans have played
I said
pretty much everybody close.
I just don't. I mean, is Dallas going to win this game? Yes. Is there potential that they're going to win by 17 or more? Yes. But just like with the Colts, I think it's going to be a little bit more difficult than what they think. But I think it's going to be a little bit more difficult than they think it's going to be. Will Dallas still win by 10 points or so? Yeah. 10, maybe 2 touchdowns. Yeah. But, yep.
This honestly feels like it's going to be the same way the Colts game was, right? Where it's just going to be one of those games where they're a lot closer than we think they are. And then all of a sudden, Houston takes their foot off the pedal. Dallas slams their foot on the gas, and then all of a sudden they win the game by 14, they win the game by 10, and then it's just like everybody's gonna be like, Dallas is the best team in the league, even though they're gonna ignore the 2.5, 3.5 quarters where this game was close. But yeah, we're both picking Cowboys. Obviously, I would love the Texans to win. I just don't see how they do, even though David Mills is coming back in this game. Maybe Mills magic, Casino. Maybe. We've never seen it before, but what a time to have it emerge. Next
what a time
up,
to be alive.
yeah. Next up, another NFC teams are playing. It is the Philadelphia Eagles, my team, 11-1, at the 7-4-1 Giants, who just got off that tie against the Commanders last week. Now, breaking news as of 4 hours ago from when we're recording this podcast, Saquon Barkley is doubtful for this game. So, I mean, I don't think the Giants were going to win, but if the Giants don't have Saquon Barkley, I have no idea what a Giantless or a Saquon Barkley-less Giants look like. Like, dear Lord. I think this, but also on here, it's saying weather might affect this game, so I don't know what that means. Who do you got in this game, Casino?
I mean, I think you're right. When it's what are the Giants going to be able to do without Saquon? That limits them like crazy. I still think Philly's the best team in the league. It's crazy that the Giants are only +7.
Especially with Saquon out. Like, I feel like that line's going to shift dramatically.
It should. Eagles all the way. I'm still picking them. I've picked them every single week. So I'm going to stick with that trend, and I'm going Eagles.
Also, as of 2 hours ago, Saquon has been moved up to questionable, but it's weird within the span of 2 hours. He goes from doubtful to questionable.
If he goes in, he's not going to be 100%. That's what we do know.
Yeah. Let's see. It looks like the Giants are a little banged up. They're missing 2 offensive linemen and a quarterback. Doubtful is a D lineman, and then questionable is Saquon Barkley. Last week, the Eagles only have a linebacker out, which Dean, the undersized linebacker from Georgia, who doesn't play like an undersized linebacker, came in just in the second half of last week's game and then led the team in tackles. He looked like a fucking beast. He also wears my favorite number, 17, so I think that is going to be the next Eagles jersey I get, especially if he keeps lighting it up like he did last week. So I think...
By the way, Argentina won.
Argentina
you took all the wind. You took all the wind out of my sails, calling it live.
I think I'm sorry I took the magic away of you thinking we were recording this live and people were listening to it. But when you were doing those updates in my head, didn't even cross my mind, and then it got to a certain point where I was like, wait a second, why are you giving live updates? Nobody is watching this at the moment.
Why do we talk about previous games as well? Because then people will just be like, oh yeah, I know that the Cowboys beat the shit out of the Colts. Like, why are you talking about it? I don't care.
Yeah, but it's for our takes. It's for analysis.
Yeah.
This is Casino. We're the only sports podcast, right? So we have to talk about sports. I'm just saying we don't have to talk about sports live unless we do a live episode, which that's a gimmick we should do.
If we do a live episode, we need to do it from somewhere. And like do it on location somewhere. I think that would be fun.
You know what? Our first live episode should be the first podcast we record in the same room.
I could deal with that.
Yeah, we've been talking about bringing guests on this show. We should also try to do.
I know how we could set this up. So I should get with my brother. He should get us a cabana because he works and runs one of the pools here in Vegas, and we just have friends come on out. We host it in there, and they will take turns being on the podcast. We'll have like a rotating podcast with our friends, and we just ask them sports questions, Like it's just a special where we just ask them sports questions and see if they get them right and their takes on things. And booze will be involved, and so we'll just get some good takes. And I think that's what we should do. I think that would be solid.
This is the best idea I've ever heard. That is 100% happening now, and yeah, I love it. I love it.
Fun.
Great job, Casino. Great job. This makes up for
calling sports live.
You totally redeemed yourself. But you're picking the Eagles. I'm going reverse jinx. I'm picking the Giants, Casino. I'm picking the Giants. As always. I'm the one week. It's not even the week they lost where I didn't pick the Eagles. It just feels right picking against them because it's reverse jinx. And this is a division game. It's a big game because the Cowboys are obviously going to blow out the Texans. So they need to stay one step ahead of them. But let's move on to, God, there are some just whack-ass games this week. Whack-ass games. The 4-8 Jacksonville Jaguars at the 7-5 Tennessee Titans. Who you got for this one, Casino?
I'm going to go Tennessee Titans still. They're still a strong team. I know they're on a 2-game losing streak, but they played the Bengals and the Eagles. So they need a redemption game. The Jaguars are the perfect team to do it against. They need this one. So that's the way I'm leaning. So yeah, there we go.
Now
and of course, with my dog barking a second ago, now my kid's up. Wonderful job, dog.
Last little bit, and then we'll take a break so Casino can take care of his child. The Titans are getting hit with a little bit of the injury bug. They're down a linebacker, a defensive lineman, Treylon Burks, their best and pretty much only wide receiver, is out with concussion still from last week with that brutal hit in the end zone. They're down their best cornerback, Fulton, another cornerback, Trey Avery, and then another wide receiver. I'm these guys.
At this list right now, and it is like double everybody else's list.
Yeah.
Holy crap.
So that's gives me, but then again, you look at the Jaguars and Lawrence is questionable.
All you need is Henry, and you're good.
Yeah, but they had Henry last week and he didn't do anything. But I don't think the Jaguars.
A different team.
Yeah, I don't think the Jaguars have the stuff to stop Derrick Henry. But I don't know. All the injuries on the Titans defense is making me, especially with their corners down against Lawrence, who we have seen can, show something in sparks. I think I'm going to go with the Jaguars, Casino. I'm going with the Jaguars.
Wow, you're just trying to catch up against me. That's fine. Do it. Fair enough.
I'm going all underdogs this week. After my monumental win last week, I need to keep the momentum going. So I'm not going chalk. I'm going underdogs. But do you want to take care of your daughter, or do you want to go to the next game?
Oh, I need to take care of her. She's all right. She's not just like murmuring; she's yelling.
So because this isn't live, through the magic of the podcast, we will pause and be back. For us, could be 10 minutes. For you, it won't even be 10 seconds. So we'll be right back. And we're back. Casino, the miracle. It took less than 10 seconds for you to take care of your daughter. Good job.
Thanks.
I just hit pause and then play again, and that's how long it took. But let's finish up these NFL picks, and then we'll do a couple more sports things and get out of here. Next up, the 9-3 Kansas City Chiefs at the 3-9 Denver Broncos. I mean, the funny thing is, so I always look it up on NFL.com, the schedule. The first, and they always show the game. They have a game preview that's a video, and then they have a bunch of news articles that are like the most recent news articles. Right. As of 29 minutes ago, this is the headline of this article. Russell Wilson drops tone-deaf remark on Chiefs 13-game win streak. When does Russell Wilson not drop something that's tone-deaf? He's the least self-aware person on the planet. You could just say Russell Wilson again says something dumb. Like that could be every headline talking about Russell Wilson.
Pretty much.
This game's going to be Kansas City Chiefs by 3 touchdowns. I really think they finally.
It's only +9 or -9 for the Chiefs, but it's going to be more. It's going to be more.
The Broncos have a great defense. They've had a great defense all year. They're in the top 3. Too bad they can't score. Mahomes. Well, too bad they can't score 2 touchdowns because that, or what? The stat is like if they'd scored 17 points every game, their record would be reversed or whatever. They can't score touchdowns. Russell Wilson is a shell of himself, and even that might be insulting to shells because he is.
Oh man.
Those
poor hermit crabs. You're gonna get them commenting, just want us off the air.
I hate this Broncos team even more than I should because I picked them to be in the Super Bowl, and each week they embarrass me further for that pick. 3-9, and I honestly don't know how they won 3 games.
Hey, I picked the Rams.
Oh God, we're going to do, at the end of the season, we're just both, before we record that podcast, listen to our first podcast where we previewed the season, and we're going to give our 5 best things that blew up on our face. Also, speaking of, I forgot to do this in the Eagles-Giants game. So when we say something dumb or make mistakes on a podcast, we admit that we're dumb and made a mistake. I literally just did it with the Steelers, where I said the Steelers had a good defense, and then I looked it up, and they didn't. So I was like, oh, turns out they didn't. I'm dumb, and then we move on. I don't know if you ever watch Nick Wright on whatever fucking show it's called now, with him, Chris Broussard. I forget the other guy's name.
I mean, no, the NBA one, right?
No, not the NBA. Now they have a new show. It's like first things or something. First things first, I think it's called. Now he goes on after Cowherd on FS1. Before he used to go on before with their show. I think it was also called First. I don't know. I don't watch the shows on cable. I just see the clips, right? And I always watch Cowherd's clips. So then it links me to other FS1 shows. I don't know. I don't know their lineup. But he said, sorry, I'm getting riled up. So, Nick Wright, who I like and I think is entertaining, but he's like a known Eagles hater this season. He keeps saying this stat over and over again.
Thank you. We almost did forget about this. Continue. Go.
He keeps saying this stat over and over and over again, talking about the Eagles, where he keeps going, they solved their run problem, but you can beat them over the top. All you have to do with the Eagles is beat them over the top. I've seen like 4 different clips from 4 different days where he keeps hammering home this point. Nobody ever calls him on it. I literally looked it up. Hey, Casino, I might be bearing the lead here. Guess who has the number 1 pass defense in the league?
Eagles?
The Philadelphia Eagles have the number 1 pass defense in the league by, it's them and Dallas. They're ahead by Dallas by 2 yards less allowed. And then the next closest one is Denver, who allows almost 10 points more than that, or almost 10 yards a game more than them, just passing. So the Eagles and Cowboys, 1 and 2 in the league in terms of pass defense. The Eagles by far have the best trio of cornerbacks in the league, and they're getting Maddox back, I believe, this week or next week. Like, I just hate shit on shows where somebody just says something and then they always use that as the argument against the team, but they never look up if it's true. It's, we needed 1 rant for this episode, and that was my rant. And that made me think of this because of how good this Denver defense is. And then I saw Denver is 3rd in that stat, and I had that stat pulled up, but I didn't use it for the Eagles one. So, yeah. But I do think, going back to the game we were talking about, I do think the Chiefs, I don't think defense matters to this Chiefs team, right? When you have Mahomes, I don't think Denver can do really anything to stop Mahomes in this offense.
Keep going with that.
I think the Bengals, obviously, they have Joe Burrow and that defense that has just like been the only team in the league to figure out Patrick Mahomes. He's never beaten them. Denver, I believe they do have that streak they're talking about where I just read that headline. That means I'm assuming that means the Chiefs have beat the Broncos 13 times in a row, because why wouldn't they? The Broncos haven't had a good team since that team they took to the Super Bowl with that amazing defense. Now they have an amazing defense, but obviously the Russell Westbrook. No, I said it right the first time. I always fuck that up. The Russell Wilson of this game is going to be a Russell Wilson of this season.
Sorry.
I'm just vamping, Casino.
Yeah, sorry.
No, you're fine. But yeah, this is Chiefs all day. Are you I can't even go underdog. There's no
Chiefs are gonna win this. I'll be shocked.
I can't even make a case. I don't even know how the Broncos would win this game, because even if they play great defense, they can't score 3 touchdowns, which you need to beat this Chiefs team unless it's...
You're going to have to run the show for a second. I'm getting some weird sounds. I want to make sure that it's nothing going on with my heating unit. Sorry.
Yeah. All right. It's okay. I'll go on to the next game. And then Casino will be back. The next game... Oh, actually, because there's nothing really much to talk about that one, so we'll just have that one. I'll skip that one. The podcast is in chaos at the moment. Next up is the Buccaneers and the 49ers, the 6-6 Tampa Bay Buccaneers, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers at the now 8-4 Brock Purdy led San Francisco 49ers. So again, the real question of this game.
Figured it out. It's my neighbor. He's starting up his old vintage car in his garage, and it sounds like it's going to explode.
Well, if we see an explosion, I mean, that'll be great for the podcast, but I don't want it to explode on you, Casino. Yeah. But we're talking about Tampa Bay Buccaneers at San Francisco 49ers, Purdy versus Brady. Really, it's going to be that Buccaneers defense against Purdy. Who you got in this one, Casita?
I'm going to go San Fran here for 2 reasons. One, it's still Tampa. It's not Brady. It's Tampa. I need to see more for them. And San Francisco, they are a better team. Yes, they don't have Jimmy Garoppolo, but there brings my second point is I like what Purdy did last week. I think he's going to do it. I got him on the waiver. So here's the thing. I didn't get him on the waiver, right? So I put in for him. I didn't get him. I was like, shit, somebody else got him. So what did I do? Found which team, proposed a trade. This person's an idiot. Marcus Mariota for Purdy.
Oh, and Mariota isn't even starting.
Benched. Now, I win fantasy. These people are dumb. I've got Purdy. He's starting for me, and I love it. Double quarterback league. It's crazy. Go Purdy. That's the second reason I'm going to choose San Fran.
You know what? I was like, oh man, that's weird. And then you said you traded him for a quarterback that's benched, and now I love it. You do win fantasy. Congratulations, Casino. Great move.
I'm so happy. That was a fun, and that's all you need to know about Casino's Fantasy Corner.
No, that's great. That's great. As far as this game goes, this really is, everybody's talking about Tom Brady. Everybody's talking about Purdy. This is going to be 2 legitimate top 5 defenses all year playing against quarterbacks that we've seen Tom Brady struggle. We've seen his receivers struggle more. He has no run game for 90% of the season at this point. So it's really going to be, can Purdy do enough to outscore a Tampa Bay offense that has had trouble scoring all year? And I think he will. I think we'll see a lot of Deebo Samuel in this game. I think we'll see a lot of Christian McCaffrey. I think we'll see a lot of sweeps and screens and
They're going to do everything they can to help
reverses.
out the quarterback.
Yeah, I think again, I think this is one of those games where it's more likely I can see the Buccaneers winning, but it's kind of like the Chiefs Broncos game where I can't see a scenario where they beat this red hot San Francisco team.
Well, I mean, they did it last week with the slice and dice with Purdy. I mean, 25 for 37 last week. He only 210 yards, averaging 5.7. So that tells you every single time he's throwing, he's just dumping it. He's dumping it right onto the outside, down, right off a quick slant. It was, death by 1,000 cuts. So I think they're going to do the same thing against the Bucs, which you kind of have to. It's a better defense. So that's what it's going to be.
Yeah. And 49ers on the come up. Buccaneers, I don't even know what they are. 6-6. They're
6-6.
They could lose the rest of the games and nobody would be surprised. They could win the rest of the games and nobody would be surprised. So they're a weird team. Next up, speaking of two weird teams, the 4-8 Carolina Panthers at the 7-5 Seattle Seahawks. It's got to be Seahawks, right? But then again, this Panthers team is fucking weird. They're weird, man.
Seahawks are only favored by 3.5, but I think that's a little low. I would go like 6 roughly for me. I think Seattle's going to pull this off. Neither team are my favorite teams to really talk about. I do like Geno, but I like what he's doing this year. I mean, I'll be honest. I'm not going to he's not going to be a quarterback that I would be like, let's re-up and with a whole bunch of money. He's having a good year. And so just for that sake, I'm going to go with Geno Smith on this. Can't trust Carolina. They're too hot and cold. And even when they're hot, they're like lukewarm. So,
well, especially lately. I mean, losing to this Raiders team we just saw last night, and not only that, but giving up 40 points to them. Again, we've talked about their defense being the worst. At least the Lions feel like they've kind of figured out their defense a little. The Seahawks still, they're giving up 23 points to the Rams team that has no offense whatsoever. That was pre-Baker Mayfield. They're giving up 21 points to a Buccaneers team we just talked about, can't score more than 2 touchdowns a game. They're giving up 40 points to the Raiders, who, again, are a dumpster fire. So this Panthers game, I'm expecting it to be close. There's no reason it should be, but again, they can't stop anybody. But this is one of the remaining 5 games the Seahawks have that they need to win, because next 3 weeks after this, they play 49ers at Kansas City and then the Jets. So that is a murderer's row of 3 games in a row. And then they end at the Rams, which maybe the Rams are at least better than they have been at that point with a Baker Mayfield-led offense. But yeah, we're both picking the Seahawks. There's no reason they shouldn't.
I'm going to give you my picks. Sorry to cut you off. Beyonce had the best record. Sorry to cut you off. I got to go. Brittany just pulled up, so it's going to get loud and crazy in here. Next
Dolphins, Chargers.
I'm going to go Miami. That Tua combination we already talked about with that elite receiving core. Patriots, Cardinals. I am going to go the Patriots. They're not the greatest team. They're 6-6, but I think they beat the Cardinals.
Yeah.
Much love, fans. You guys are great. Had a couple comments. I appreciate those. So thank you for commenting. Which, by the way, I did look up your stuff. It's awesome. So let's keep going. More comments. Argue with BJ. I'm here for it. I love it.
Yeah.
Bye, fans.
All right, Casino, we'll see you next episode. I'm going to wrap up the episode right here after so last 2 games, the Sunday night and the Monday night. Sunday night is 8-4 Miami Dolphins at the 6-6 Los Angeles Chargers. I agree with Casino, especially the Chargers. They've been hit with the injury bug, but this is the Chargers nobody wants to see, but we always do see, which is an underperforming Chargers team for whatever reasons. This year, you can put it on the injury bug. You can put it on, defense not playing as good as they should. The offense kind of sputtering at points. again, losing to the Raiders last week 27-20, and then winning against a Cardinals team that's pretty much packed it up only by one, losing to the Chiefs. They had a really rough November, only beating the Falcons by 3, getting crushed by the Seahawks, and then losing to the 49ers. So hopefully December pans out better for the Chargers, but again, they've already lost to the Raiders in the month of December. Now they're going to a Dolphins team that kind of got beat up last week against the 49ers. This game obviously got flexed from, I believe it was supposed to be a morning game, to now it's Sunday night. It's going to be in prime time. The Chargers they should be fun to watch. They're never as fun to watch as you feel like they should be, but I'm agreeing with Casino. I'm picking the Dolphins. I think they are on the need for a rebound, and we will get that Sunday night. Monday night, again, not much to talk about. Again, the Cardinals feel like they kind of packed it in. I don't feel like Cliff Kingsbury sticks around after the season. Either he gets fired or, they mutually part ways. But Patriots, they're not a bad team. They're not a good team. They feel like a 6-6 team. They feel like they have been as good as they have been as bad in, half the games this season. So this all makes sense. I am picking again the Patriots because I don't think there's any way the Cardinals have just enough stuff to win, especially Kyler Murray going against a Bill Belichick defense where he's had, an extra day, but still extra time to prepare for him. And I don't think Cliff Kingsbury is going to outcoach Bill Belichick, but any given Sunday, any of these games, I'm sure we'll be coming here on Monday's podcast and being like, how the fuck did any of this happen? But before I get out of here, that's all our hot takes for week 14 of the NFL season. NHL is usually Casino's bag, but me and him are going Sunday night to the Bruins Golden Knights game. Bruins that have already been beaten by the Knights. As far as the standings of the NHL, nothing's really changed since we talked about it last episode. Golden Knights, Kraken, top 2 in the Pacific Division in the West. Jets, Stars at the top of the Central Division. In the Eastern Conference, we have the Bruins, clear best team in the NHL, 21-3. One of those losses was to me and Casino's Las Vegas Golden Knights. So good job, Knights. Do it again Sunday. Then in the Metropolitan Division, Casinos talked about this. The Devils, 21-4, running away with that division. Next closest one is at 14 wins with the Penguins. 16 wins with the Islanders. And then you have Penguins, Hurricanes at 14 below them. So, yeah. This looks like much like we'll transition to the NBA, where the Eastern Conference is just insanely better than the Western Conference, because the same can be said for the NHL and for the NBA, because 2 nights ago, we're recording this Friday morning, Wednesday night, we got the big matchup of the number 1 team in the East against the number 1 team in the West, and the Celtics, just blew the doors off this Suns team that is number 1 in the West. Well, now at the moment, they were then. Now they're they're half game back of the Pelicans, who are really emerging as the must-watch team in the West this year, with Zion just doing Zion things, what we all thought he would do before obviously injuries derailed that. But Pelicans, Grizzlies have been fun watches. Suns, I don't know. The Suns, something feels off, and we saw all the worst version of the Suns playing that Celtics game. I will take credit for this. Again, I talked about it early in this podcast. I get a lot wrong, and I get some right. So I'm not even trying to be like one of those sports analysts, because I'm not, or like one of those sports talking heads that is just like, oh, everything I say is right. And, hot take. I don't like that kind of sports journalism or sports talking heads, blah, blah, blah. Me and Casino are just 2 guys who like talking sports. So that's why we started this podcast. But I did say when I was watching this game, because I watched it live, whole thing, when it got, I believe it was like middle of the first quarter when it was 20-16, there was something in my brain that was just like, all right, now here they go. Here the Celtics go, and this game isn't going to even be close. And after that part, it wasn't. We've just seen many games this year where the Celtics just capitalize and they just keep scoring points. And then all of a sudden, they just get on blowout runs where it's just like, this game was close 5 minutes ago. Like, what the hell happened? And that game was never close after what, halfway into the first quarter. Just great. I mean, if you're a Celtics fan, great game. If you're a Suns or fan of literally any other team, it made you worried because the Celtics and the Bucks have clearly separated themselves from the rest of the league. The West is fun because it's closer, but the East, I mean, you look at the Celtics, Bucks, next closest to them record-wise are the Cavaliers and the Nets. They don't even feel close to being on the same level as the Celtics. And then the Bucks feel like they're under the Celtics, but not by much. And then there's a wide mark between the Bucks and the Cavaliers. Sixers, my team, have lost 3 in a row. So they feel like what they felt like at the beginning of the season, which is an inconsistent team that just gets inconsistent play from Harden, their bench, their role players, and you have Joel Embiid trying to hold that team together, but not being good. Let's see. The Nets are kind of starting to emerge, but again, the Nets, they just have no depth, right? So it's always Kyrie or Durant has to have a Kyrie or Durant game or they're not going to be in it. And I don't know if they can sustain that over a 7-game period. Kind of same with the Cavaliers. They don't feel like they have enough, I don't want to say star power, but I guess star matching abilities, right? They definitely don't have enough depth as the Celtics, who are definitely, I don't think it's even within question, the deepest team in the league. And then they have, I don't think nobody has anybody that can match up against Giannis, right? So I think out of the East, it's going to be Celtics, Bucks, Eastern Conference Finals. I feel like you can bet money on that now, and I would be shocked if it doesn't end up being them. We could see the Hawks, I don't know, Trae Young just feels off this season. They also, on that Wednesday night, had the doubleheader where the Knicks and the Hawks, and I believe it was Knicks and Hawks, and that game never felt close. Let me pull it up right here. It was Knicks and Hawks. Knicks won 113-89. The Hawks just feel off. They felt off all season, but because the East is so top heavy, they're kind of in that mix where everybody feels simultaneously in it and out of it. I don't know. Like, unless you're the Hornets, Piston, Magic, who are at the bottom, everybody else kind of feels from the 12th best team to the 4th best team. They're all within 3-4 games of each other, and they feel like any given night they can play their best ball, their worst ball, or medium ball and just, win some, lose some. I don't know. The NBA feels very, very close in terms of every team below Celtics, Bucks. Like even Pelicans, Suns, Grizzlies, Nuggets, they're all within a game and a half of each other. And then if you're not, only the Spurs and Rockets are out of it in the West. Everybody else has at least 10 wins. So again, if you're the Lakers, you're having a rough season, but you're still in it. You're still in the mix. And we've had November was a crazy month for Anthony Davis. He went off. He feels like, but with Anthony Davis, you're always just waiting for him to get injured, him to get hurt, and you don't want him to get injured or hurt. It's just in the history of his career that what he is. I've talked way longer about the NBA than I thought I would. I did want to just do season leader updates when we talk about the NBA on this show. So I'll just say at the moment, top 5 are 4 who you thought it would. 1 who's just having a career year, looks great. They're a fun team to watch, surprisingly. So number 1 is Luka Doncic. again, terrible with names. Almost 33 points a game. Absolutely insane. Giannis right there behind him at 32. And then Shai Gilgeous-Alexander for OKC, shockingly 31 points a game. I mean, that's to be right there with Giannis and Luka is just credit to him, because that is just amazing. And then 4 and 5 rounds out with Tatum, 30 points a game, Steph Curry right at 30 points a game. So Jason Tatum 30.5, but I don't like doing because you can't score 0.5 points, right? But yeah. And then right there below him, Durant, Mitchell, Morant, and Booker. NBA has always been a star-driven league. And then Anthony Davis rounding out the top 10, coming in with 27.3 points. But yeah, NBA has always been one of the sports where it's like it matters if you have the stars on your team, right? Hasn't been a team in NBA, I don't want to say history, obviously, because you think of the 04 Pistons and stuff like that, but especially modern NBA, you can't think of a team that's won the finals that doesn't have a top 5 scorer in the league in the past, decade, 2 decades? Well, obviously you put Pistons aside, but I'm saying everybody other than that. So right now, Dallas is mediocre. Giannis is obviously the second best team in the NBA, right behind the Celtics. And then Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, that's the outlier. Like, just real crazy what he's doing for OKC. But I have talked enough. Solo especially, I will get out of here. This is going to be the Sports Podcast. I'm Will. As always, that's Casino, whichever side he's usually on. I'm assuming this one. Oh, can't see for the audio viewers, but we'll be back Monday after big weekend of sports. Well, not really, not as big as like last week. There's just the little college bowl starting. Me and Casino obviously give a report from the Knights hockey game, and then NFL, we'll talk about it on Monday. And like Casino said, like and subscribe on YouTube, follow us or subscribe to us on any of your favorite podcast feeds. And it's been the Only Sports Podcast.